Okay, hello everybody. We are live with the Wheel of Shakespeare Challenge for January 23rd. And we've got 7 players with us today. I can only get 6 in the stream, so it's just me. We'll put them in when they get spun. One quick announcement before we start, so everybody knows, both Elizabeth and Paul have made some suggestions on stuff to add to the wheels. So I've added a couple things. Paul's suggestion, we added one of Richard's monologues, Richard III, although he wasn't called that yet, and it's from Henry VI, Part 3. He started scheming for the crown back in the previous chapter. That's a good one, out talking about Edward's marriage to Lady Grey. Elizabeth made some suggestions. She had suggested a measure for measure scene between Angelo and Isabella. That was already on the wheel, but when I went to that play, I stumbled on another one where Claudio is talking with with Lucio, and that's a good one. I added a couple of Imogen's monologues from Cymbeline that were great, that Elizabeth suggested. I've added those. I've added another Hermia monologue from Midsummer Night's Dream. Sebastian in Twelfth Night, Act 4, Scene 3. I've added him. I've added a monologue from Valentine in Two Gentlemen of Verona, and from Richard III, one I played before. I played King Edward. It's King Edward's deathbed monologue. That was another good suggestion. So those are the new additions, so there's no surprises. Other than that, I think we're ready to go. So the wheel's been up. Actually, sorry, correction. I got to take Rylan is not with us today, so we'll remove him. Yeah, so it's just the 7 of us that are here. So our first monologue will be performed by... Okay, so Alex is going to start us off today. Well, Alex, did you want to stick with your own gender or go with the gender-neutral wheel?
Neutral.
Okay, so Alex is going to be performing...
something by Shakespeare.
I think I did this one last week, and now you get to do it. Jaques, the All the World's a Stage monologue from As You Like It.
7, okay.
Act 2, Scene 7. It starts about 15 lines in.
All the World's a Stage, okay.
Oops. Let me know when you're ready to go, and I'll take myself out of the stream, let you have the whole screen to yourself.
Jax, a fool, this one, or?
That's another good monologue that Jaques has.
Okay, I found it.
Okay, so whenever you're ready, go ahead with it.
Oh, wait. Act 2, Scene 7, As You Like It.
Yeah, it begins with a famous line, "All the world's a stage."
Okay.
Got it?
Yes.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. His acts being 7 stages. At first, the infant, mewling and puking in his nurse's arms, then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like a snail, unwillingly to school. And then the lover, sighing like furnace with a woeful ballad, made to his mistress' eyebrow. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths, and bearded like the part, jealous in honor, sudden, and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation. Even in the cannon's mouth, and then the justice, in fair round belly with good cape and lined, with eyes severe and beard a formal cut, full of wise souls and modern instances. And so he plays his part. The sixth age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side. His youthful hose, well saved, a world too wide, for his shrunk shank and his big manly voice, turning again toward childish treble, pipes, and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all that ends this strange, eventful history is second childishness and mere oblivion. Sun's teeth, sun's eyes, sun's taste, sun's everything.
Okay, thank you, Alex. That was great.
Welcome.
Back to the wheel for the remaining players. Our next monologue will be done by Okay, Paul, you're up next. Gender neutral, Paul, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, everybody, so Paul will be performing Upon the King. This is I think I did this one in like the very first game we had when most of you guys hadn't even found out about us yet. When it was just myself, Bill, and one other person that unfortunately never came back. But I don't think anybody's done this one since then, and I look forward to seeing Paul do it. This is a really good one that we haven't seen much of yet.
Okay.
On the King, Act 4 of King Henry before the Battle of Agincourt.
That's scene 1.
You got it?
Or scene 1, and almost there. Okay, I have it.
Okay, whenever you're ready, go for it.
Okay. Upon the King, let us our lives, our souls, our debts, our careful wives, our children, and our sins lay on the King. We must bear all, O hard condition, twin born with greatness, subject to the breath of every fool whose sense no more can feel but his own wringing. What infinite heart's ease must kings neglect that private men enjoy? And what have kings what privates have not too? Save ceremony, save general ceremony. And what art thou, thou idle ceremony? What kind of God art thou that sufferest more or of mortal griefs than do our worshippers? What are thy rents? What are thy comings in? Oh, ceremony, show me thy worth. What is thy soul of adoration? Art thou aught else but place, degree, and form, creating awe and fear in other men, wherein thou art less happy, being feared, than they in fearing? What drink'st thou oft, instead of homage sweet, by poisoned flattery, Or be sick greatness, and bid thy ceremony give thee cure? Think'st thou the fiery fever will go out with titles blown from adulation? Will it give place to flexure and low bending? Canst thou, when thou command'st the beggar's knee, command the health of it? Now, thou proud dream, that place so subtly with a king's repose. I am a king that find thee, and I know 'tis not the balm, the scepter, and the ball, the sword, the mace, the crown imperial, the intertissued robe of gold and pearl, the farced title running for the king, the throne he sits on, nor the tide of pomp that beats upon the high shore of this world. No, not all these. Thrice gorgeous ceremony, not all these laid in bed majestical. Call sleep so soundly as the wretched slave who, with a body filled and vacant mind, gets him to rest, cramped with distressful beard, never sees horrid night, the child of hell, but like a lackey from the rise to set sweats in the eye of Phoebus, and all night sleeps in Elysium. Next day after dawn doth rise and help Hyperion to his horse, and follows so the ever-running year with profitable labor to his grave. And, but for ceremony, such a wretch, winding up days with toil and nights with sleep, had the forehand and vantage of a king, the slave, a member of the county's peace, enjoys it, but in gross brain, little wots what watch the king keeps to maintain the peace, whose hours the peasant best advantage.
Okay.
That is a great speech. Wow. I never read that before. That's a great speech.
Yeah, it really is.
Wow.
Yeah, makes me want to see one of my versions, both the Olivier version and the Branagh version. I mean, it shows the greatness of Shakespeare. They're both so 180 degrees different in tone, and yet they're both great in their own way.
Yeah, it's powerful.
That's always that monologue's always been one of my favorite parts of that play.
Thanks for introducing that to me.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the wheel for our next performer. The next monologue will be performed by looks like I'm up next. Close to the line. I wasn't sure if it would be me or Bill, but okay, I'll stick with the gender neutral. So I will be performing okay, another Puck monologue. I think I've done a Puck monologue before, but not this one, so that's good. So Puck. Act 2, Scene 2. Okay. Through the forest have I gone, but Athenian found I none, on whose eyes I might approve this flower's force and stirring love. Night and silence, who is here? Weeds of Athens he doth wear. This is he, my master said, despised the Athenian maid. And here the maiden, sleeping sound on the dank and dirty ground. Pretty soul, she durst not lie near this lack love, this kill courtesy. Churl, upon thy eyes I throw all the power this charm doth owe. When thou wakest, let love forbid sleep his seat on thy eyelid. So awake when I am gone, for I must now to Oberon. Okay, that was fun. Let's go back to the wheel now. Hard. I can't be both performing and adjusting the wheel for the next spin at the same time, so it slows down a bit when I'm going. But okay, let me remove the people that have gone already. Okay, so the next monologue will be performed by... Okay, Maggie, you're up next.
Hi.
Maggie, did you want the female or
I would like a male wheel, please.
Okay, that's it.
My mustache is kind of grown in today, so I'm going with it.
Okay, so Maggie's going to perform a male monologue, and she is going to end up doing... Oh, the porter. Knock, knock.
Porter, knock.
Awesome. I don't think anybody's done that one yet.
Macbeth, correct?
Yes, and it would be it's the top of the scene, as I recall, right after the end of the, Act 2, Scene 3.
I got it.
Okay, great. So you got it. So whenever you're ready, go.
Okay. Here's a knocking indeed. If a man were porter of Hellgate, he should have old turning the key. Knock, knock, knock. Who's there in the name of Beelzebub? I hears a farmer that hanged himself on the expectation of plenty. Come in time, have napkins enow about you. Here you'll sweat for't. Knock, knock, knock. Knock, knock. Who's there in the other devil's name? Faith, here's an equivocator that could swear in both the scales against either scale, who committed treason enough for God's sake, yet could not equivocate to heaven. Oh, come in, equivocator. Knock, knock, knock. Who's there? Faith, here's an English tailor come hither for stealing out of a French hose. Come in, tailor. Here you may roast your goose. Knock, knock, never at quiet. What are you? Ah, but this place is too cold for hell. I'll devil porter it no further. I had thought to have left in some of all professions that go the primrose way to the everlasting bonfire. Anon, anon, I pray you, remembering the porter. I think that's the end. I think that's the end before Macduff shows up, right?
Yeah, and then Macduff and I think Lennox is with him at that time, knocking. Okay, so next up is Elizabeth. Elizabeth, what wheel do you want to spin? Elizabeth, I think you're still muted.
I'm so sorry. Gender neutral, please.
Okay, gender neutral. Okay, so Elizabeth is going to be doing one of the new ones that we just added, King Edward, his deathbed monologue, when they just tell him that Clarence has been executed. He didn't reverse the order in time. Act 3,
Cool.
Act 1, that's which is the third. Act 2, Scene 1.
Okay, I'm almost there. Okay. Ready?
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Have a tongue to doom my brother's death, and shall the same give pardon to a slave? My brother slew no man, his fault was thought, and yet his punishment was cruel death. Who sued to me for him? Who, in my rage, kneeled at my feet and bade me be advised? Who spake of brotherhood? Who spake of love? Who told me how the poor soul did forsake the mighty Warwick and did fight for me? Who told me in the field by Tewkesbury, when Oxford had me down, he rescued me and said, dear brother, live and be a king? Who told me when we both lay in the field, frozen almost to death, how he did lap me, even in his own garments, and gave himself all thin and naked to the numb cold night? All this from my remembrance, brutish wrath sinfully plucked, and not a man of you had so much grace to put it in my mind. But when your carters or your waiting vassals have done a drunken slaughter and defaced the precious image of our dear Redeemer, you straight are on your knees for pardon, pardon. And I unjustly too must grant it you, but for my brother not a man would speak, nor I, ungracious, speak unto myself for him, poor soul. The proudest of you all have been beholding to him in his life, yet none of you would once plead for his life. Oh God, I fear thy justice will take hold on me and you and mine and yours for this. Come, Hastings, help me to my closet. Oh, poor Clarence. Thank you.
Awesome. It was very interesting to see that done because I mentioned it was summer before last. The Maverick Theater in Fullerton, we did Richard III, and I played King Edward. So I did that, but I did a very, very condensed version of that because most of Shakespeare, but especially one of his longest works, which this was, have to be cut down considerably if you want it to be performed in 2 hours. So the script was massively cut. I think I actually did less than half of that when I played that role. So, oh, you're muted again.
It's an amazing speech because he defensively lashes out at everybody around him. He doesn't feel well. He's dying. And then when he turns the wrath in on himself, it's such a journey, that speech. I love it. I think it's really a wonderful example of Shakespeare at his best, what he does best.
And thank you it was your suggestion, one of the ones that was added to the wheel, and I'm glad you suggested it, and really glad that you spun it, and we got to see it the very first.
I know. I'm so happy I got to do it. Yeah, I love it.
It came up. Okay, so we got 2 players left. 2 people that still need to perform. Bill and Sheila haven't gone yet, and the one that will go next will be Bill. And Bill, you like to stick with the male wheel, correct?
Well, mainly just to get the wheel, give it some use.
Okay. So spinning the male wheel. So Bill will be performing John of Gaunt. We go from one great classic deathbed speech to another.
Richard,
John of Gaunt, methinks I am a prophet. Act 1, You know what? That can't be right. I must have put it wrong. Richard, the Roman numeral 2 is for Richard II. Not that I might need to. Sorry, I got that wrong. I'm gonna have to fix the wheel. You might have to just Google "me thinks I am a prophet" to get where that is. I know I incorrectly put the scene number.
Okay.
Did you find it anyway?
I'm in the process.
Okay.
Yes, I just found it.
Okay, great. So whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Okay. Methinks I am a prophet new inspired, and thus expiring do foretell of him. His rash, fierce blaze of riot cannot last, for violent fires soon burn out themselves. Small showers last long, but sudden storms are short. He tires betimes that spurs too fast betimes. With eager feeding food doth choke the feeder. Light vanity, insatiate cormorant, consuming mean soon preys upon itself. This royal throne of kings, this sceptered isle, this earth of majesty, this seat of Mars, this other Eden, demi-paradise, this fortress built by nature for herself against the infection and the hand of war. This happy breed of men, this little world, this precious stone set in the silver sea which serves it in the office of a wall, or as a moat defensive to a house against the envy of less happier lands. This blessed plot, this earth, this realm, this England, this nurse, this teeming womb of royal kings, feared by their breed and famous by their birth, renowned for their deeds, is far from home for Christian service and true chivalry. As is the sepulchre and stubborn jewelry of the world's ransom, Blessed Mary's Son, this land of such dear souls, this dear, dear land, dear for her reputation through the world, is now leased out. I die pronouncing it, like to a tenement or pelting farm. England, bound in with the triumphant sea, whose rocky shore beats back the envious siege of watery Neptune, is now bound in with shame, with inky blots and rotten parchment bonds. That England that was wont to conquer others hath made a shameful conquest of itself. Would the scandal vanish with my life? How happy then were my ensuing death.
Okay, awesome. That's the very prophetic monologue about everything that's going to happen in the play coming forward with, and all the chaos when Richard is overthrown as a result of everything Gaunt is complaining about there. Okay, so that leaves Sheila, the only one that hasn't gone yet. And did you? Which wheel would you like me to spin, Sheila?
You can give me gender neutral. And I'm just going to give a little quick shout out that we're doing Richard II tomorrow at 3:30. Well, 12:30 your time if you want to tune in.
All right. So the last monologue before we switch to two-person scenes will be from Wither's Tale. What's Torments? Act 3, Scene 2.
Come on, baby. Sorry, I've got a little bit of a slow connection here. Let's see. And what was the first line?
Let's see. What studied torments?
Oh, here we go. All right.
Got it? Okay, great. So whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Okay. What studied torment, tyrant, hast for me? What wheels, racks, fires? What flaying, boiling in leads or oils? What old or newer torture must I receive, whose every word deserves to taste of thy most worst? Thy tyranny together working with thy jealousies, fancies too weak for boys, too green and idle for girls of 9. Oh, think what they had done, and then run mad indeed, stark mad, for all thy bygone fooleries were but spices of it. That thou betrayedst Polixenes, 'twas nothing. Thou did but show thee of a fool, inconstant and damnable, ungrateful. Nor what's much, that thou wouldst have poisoned good Camillo's honor to have him kill a king. Poor trespasses, more monstrous standing by. Where have I reckoned the casting forth to crows thy baby daughter to be none or little, though a devil would have shed water out of fire ere done. Whereas directly laid to thee the death of the young prince, whose honorable thoughts high for one so tender, cleft the heart that could conceive a gross and foolish sire, blemished his gracious dam. This is not, no, laid to thy answer, but the last, O lords, where I have said, cry, woe! The queen, the sweetest, dearest creature, dead, and vengeance for it not dropped down yet.
Okay, thank you, Sheila. That was awesome. So we've got 7 players today, which means we'll be able to do 4 scenes. We'll do 3 scenes, and we'll have 1 player left who will perform with one other person who randomly will be chosen to go a second time. So our first scene will be a scene between Elizabeth, and Elizabeth will perform with Bill. So Bill and Elizabeth will go. Okay. And Bill and Elizabeth will be performing we had a different pair doing this one. The great Actually, this is before we had them perform the one where she's egging him on, does he have the guts to do it? This is the later scene where Macbeth is planning to kill Banquo, and he's, got everything he wanted and is still not happy, and the tension after the murder of Duncan is after he's become king. Act 3, Scene 2. I think the one of we've scorched the snake, not killed it, I believe, is the first line of, or no, Lady M says something to him about, why are you so upset? And
so what I see is, I say first, Knots had all spent, where our desires got without content. Is that good? A good place to start?
That is
I've never read the scene. This is going to be really interesting.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the context. He has killed Duncan, become king, and can't understand why he can't just be happy. He's all obsessed with the witch's prophecy and with Banquo at this point.
Okay, you ready, Bill?
I think I am. Let's give it a go.
Okay. Naught's had, all spent, where our desire is got without content. 'Tis safer to be that which we destroy, than by destruction dwell in doubtful joy. How now, my lord? Why do you keep alone, of sorriest fancies your companions making, using those thoughts which should indeed have died, with them they think on? Things without all remedy should be without regard. What's done is done.
We have scotched the snake, not killed it. She'll close and be herself, whilst our poor Malice remains in danger of her former tooth. But let the frame of things disjoint, both the worlds suffer ere we will eat our meal in fear and sleep in the affliction of these terrible dreams that shake us nightly. Better be with the dead, whom we, to gain our peace, have sent to peace, than on the torture of the mind to lie in restless ecstasy. Duncan is in his grave after life's fitful fever. He sleeps well. Treason has done his worst. Nor steel, nor poison, malice, domestic, foreign levy, nothing can touch him further.
Come on, gentle my lord, sleek o'er your rugged looks, be bright and jovial among your guests tonight.
So shall I, love, and so I pray be you. Let your remembrance apply to Banquo. Present him eminence, both with eye and tongue, unsafe the while, that we must lave our honors in these flattering streams and make our faces vizards to our hearts, disguising what they are.
You must leave this.
Oh, full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife. Thou knowest that Banquo and his fiancé lives.
But in them nature's copies, not etern.
There's comfort yet. They are assailable, then be thou jocund, ere the bat hath flown his cloistered flight, ere the black Hecate summons the shard-born beetle with his drowsy hums that hath wrung night's yawning peal. There shall be done a deed of dreadful note.
What's to be done?
Be innocent of the knowledge, Chuck, dearest Chuck, till thou upload the deed. Come, sealing night, scarf up the tender eye of pitiful day, and with the bloody and invisible hand cancel and tear to pieces that great bond which keeps me pale. Light thickens, and the crow makes wing to the rooky wood. Good things of day begin to droop and drowse, while night's black agents to their praise do rouse. Thou marvelest at my words, but hold thee still. Things bad begun make strong themselves by ill. So prithee, go with me.
Okay, awesome. One thing I had forgotten that before we started the scene, that you weren't familiar. You said you'd never read that one before. I forgot that was the source of another one of Shakespeare's most famous one-liners, the "What's done is done." I forgot. I forgot that that's the scene that famous line came from when it was spun. Okay, so anyway, back to the wheel. We have 5 players left. Our next 2-person scene will be done by Alex, and he will perform with Alex and Paul. Okay, so Alex and Paul are going to be doing Henry IV Part 2. Oh, we haven't spun this one yet. This is a great scene. We keep getting King's death. We keep getting deathbed. This is the deathbed scene where Prince Henry takes the crown prematurely, and he's not dead yet, and he wakes up and says, "You can't wait 30 minutes for your dad to die just so you can take his crown." unless we have preference, why don't Paul? Why don't you be the king, and Alex, you be Prince Henry for that one. Just
Okay.
going by which one of you looks older. How I would cast it based on the age, who's the father and who's the son. Yeah, it's Henry IV, Part 2. It's Act 4, Scene 5.
Exeunt Warwick and the rest.
Yeah,
Is this where it begins?
Once they're alone, and I think Prince Hal says some stuff. Opened the wrong.
It begins with line 90, I believe.
Gosh, I must be in the wrong place. Oh yeah, I am.
Okay.
I opened the wrong. Let's see, Henry the
Act
Fourth, Act 4, Scene 5. It would see. Try to find the
Part 2.
Wherefore did he? Okay, so he said, but wherefore did he take the crown? Yeah, and so lo
Act
here.
4.
Yeah, so the first line would be the king saying, "But wherefore did he take the crown?" You know, you can't understand why the hell did he take your crown off the pillow. You know, he's so anxious for you to die to take it. He wore the crown out. He said, "Lo, where he comes, come hither, Harry." Harry says, "I never thought to hear you speak again." He says, that was what you wanted. I wish was father, Harry, to that thought. So
Take away the crown. Okay. All right, I found it.
but wherefore, Alex, have you found it?
Yes.
It starts, well, wherefore did he take the crown? Okay, great. So whenever you guys are ready, go for it.
Okay. But wherefore did he take the crown? Lo, where he comes. Come hither to me, Harry. Depart the chamber, leave us here alone.
I never thought to hear you speak again.
Why wish was father, Harry, to that night? I stay too long by thee. I weary thee. Dost thou so hunger for mine empty chair, that thou wilt need invest thee with mine honors before thy hour be ripe? O foolish youth, thou seekst the greatest that will overwhelm thee. Stay but a little, for my cloud of dignity is held from falling with so weak a wind that it will quickly drop. My day is dim, that thou hast stolen that which after some few hours were thine without offense, and at my death thou hast sealed up my expectation. Thy life did manifest, thou lovedst me not, and thou wilt have me die assured of it. Thou hidst 1,000 daggers in thy thoughts, whom thou hast whetted on thy stony heart to stab at half an hour of my life. What canst thou not forbear me half an hour? And get thee gone, and dig my grave thyself, and bid the merry bells ring to thine ear that thou art crowned, not that I am dead. Let all the tears that should bedew my hearse be drops of balm to sanctify thy head. Only compound me with forgotten dust. Give that which gave thee life unto the worms. Pluck down my officers, break my decrees, for now a time is come to mock at form. Harry V is crowned. Up, vanity, Down, royal state, all you sage counselors, hence, and to the English court assemble now, from every region, apes of idleness. Now, neighbors, confines, purge you of your scum. You have a ruffian that will swear, drink, dance, revel the night, rob, murder, and commit the oldest sins, the newest kind of ways. Be happy, he will trouble you no more. England shall double gild his trebled guilt. England shall give him office, honor, might, for the fifth Harry from curbed license plucks the muzzle of restraint, and the wild dog shall flesh his tooth on every innocent. Oh, my poor kingdom, sick with civil blows, when that my care could not withhold thy riots. What wilt thou do when riot is thy care? Oh, thou wilt be a wilderness again, peopled with wolves, thy old inhabitants.
Oh, pardon me, my liege, but for my tears, the moist impediments unto my speech. I had forestalled this dear and deep rebuke, ere you with grief had spoke, and I had heard the course of it is so far. There is your crown, and he that wears the crown immortally, long guards it yours. If I affect it more than as your honor and as your renown, let me no more from his obedience rise, which my most inward, true, and duteous spirit teacheth this prostate trait and exterior bending. God witness with me, when I here came in and found no course of bread within your majesty, how cold it struck my heart. If I do feign, oh, let me in my present wilderness die, and never live to show the incredulous world the noble change that I have purposed. Coming to look on you, thinking you dead, and dead almost, my liege, to think you were, I spake unto this crown as having sense, and thus upbraided it. The care on thee depending had fed upon the body of my father. Therefore, thou best of gold art worst of gold. Other, less fine in carat, is more precious, preserving life, in medicine potable. But thou, most fine, most honored, most renowned, hast eat thy bearer up. Thus, my most royal liege, accusing it, I put it on my head, to try with it, as with an enemy that had before my face murdered my father. The quarrel of a true inheritor. But if I did infect my blood with joy, or swell my thoughts to any strain of pride, if any rebel of vain spirit of mine did with the latest affection of a welcome give entertainment to the might of it, let God forever keep it from my hand, and make me as the poorest vessel is, that doth with awe and terror kneel to it.
Oh, my son, God put it in thy mind to take it hence, that thou mightst win the more thy father's love, pleading so wisely in excuse of it. Come hither, Harry. Sit thou by my bed and hear, I think, the very latest counsel that ever I shall breathe. God knows, my son, by what paths and indirect crooked ways I met this crown, and I myself know well how troublesome it sat upon my head. To thee it shall descend with better quiet. better opinion, better confirmation. For all the soul of the achievement goes with me into the earth. It seemed in me but as an honor snatched with boisterous hand, and I had many living to upbraid my gains of it by their assistances, which daily grew to quarrel and to bloodshed, wounding supposed peace. All these bold fears thou seest with peril I have answered, for all my reign hath been but a scene acting that argument, and now my death changes the mood, for what in me was purchased falls upon thee in a more fairer sort. So thou the garland wearest successively, yet though thou standst more sure than I could do, thou art not firm enough, since griefs are green, and all my friends, which thou must make thy friends, have but their stings and teeth newly ta'en out, by whose fell working I was first advanced, and by whose power I well might lodge a fear to be again displaced, which to avoid I cut them off, and had a purpose now to lead out many to the Holy Land. Let rest and lying still might make them look too near unto my state. Therefore, my Harry, be it thy course to busy giddy minds with foreign quarrels, that action hence borne out may waste the memory of the former days. More would I, but my lungs are wasted so that strength of speech is utterly denied me. How I came by the crown, O God forgive, and grant it may with thee in true peace live.
My gracious liege, you won it, wore it, kept it, gave it me. Then plain and right must my possession be, which I with more than with a common pain, against all the world will rightfully maintain.
Okay, great. That really that's from the second part of Henry the Fourth. You know, Henry the Fourth Part One is one of Shakespeare's more famous. It's still often performed, even though they don't usually do the history plays. But Part Two, not so much. I mean, Part One is definitely the better of the two plays overall, but Part Two has two really great parts of it, which it's a shame many people get to see it. One is this deathbed scene where he has to convince him that he really did love his father, that he wasn't just waiting for him to die to take his crown. And the other one, I believe it would be another great monologue by the king, the uneasy lies the head that wears the crown monologue, which I believe Bill did that a few months ago. He performed. You guys want to check that out on YouTube? Bill performed that, not as part of the game, but just to make his own video on YouTube. So you guys should check that one out. Those, in my opinion, are the two great parts of this play.
That was beautiful. That was a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
it was. For some reason, the father didn't have an amazing opinion of his son at first.
That's the idea. The fact that he is redeemed by the end of the scene. That's just what's so great about it. Anyway,
better late than never.
Yeah. Last chance, and that's the important. Okay, so the three players that haven't done a scene yet. Okay, the next scene will be Sheila will perform with okay, so myself and Sheila and Maggie will be the one that goes last with one additional player. Okay, so Sheila and I are going to do Portia from Julius Caesar.
2-2.
Act 2, Scene 2. Let's find where that starts.
Well, Calpurnia ditches him. Let me see. Wait a minute. I'm getting Calpurnia. Am I in the wrong scene?
Is his wife. Portia is Brutus's wife.
Yeah. But you said 2-2?
I think so. I hope I didn't get that one wrong as well. I've been known to. You've already seen it happen once today. I've been known to get these wrong. And
This is Caesar and Calpurnia, what I'm looking at.
maybe Act 2, Scene 1. What have I got? Sorry, guys. I'll bear with that. I got it. Since I got it wrong. I think I should have said Act 2, Scene 1.
Which is a very long scene, so it's in the last quarter of it, I believe.
Yes, yeah, toward the very end. It's Enter Portia, Brutus, my lord.
Mm-hmm.
And the exit. Yeah, so that's where we would take it from, or actually.
Until I exit.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Enter Portia is Brutus, my lord, and I say, Portia, what mean you? Are we on the same page?
Yes.
Okay, so good. So whenever you're ready, give me that cue.
Brutus, my lord!
Portia, what mean you? Wherefore rise you now? It is not for your health thus to commit your weak condition to the raw cold morning.
Nor for yours neither. You've ungently, Brutus, stole from my bed, and yesternight at supper you suddenly arose and walked about, musing and sighing, with your arms across, and when I asked you what the matter was, you stared upon me with ungentle looks. I urged you further, then you scratched your head and too impatiently stamped with your foot. Yet I insisted, yet you answered not, but with an angry wafture of your hand gave signs for me to leave you. So I did, fearing to strengthen that impatience which seemed too much enkindled, and withal hoping it was but an effect of humor which sometime hath his hour with every man. I will not let you eat, nor talk, nor sleep. And could it work so much upon your shape as it hath much prevailed on your condition, I should not know you, Brutus. Dear my lord, make me acquainted with your cause of grief.
I am not well in health, and that is all.
Brutus is wise, and were he not in health, he would embrace the means to come by it.
Why, so I do. Good Portia, go to bed.
Is Brutus sick? And is it physical to walk unbraced and suck up the humors of the dank morning? What, is Brutus sick? And will he steal out of his wholesome bed to dare the vile contagion of the night and tempt the roomy and unpurged air to add unto his sickness? No, my Brutus, you have some sick offense within your mind, which by the right and virtue of my place I ought to know of, and upon my knees I charm you. By my once commented beauty, all your vows of love and that great vow which did incorporate and make us one, that you unfold to me yourself, your half. Why are you heavy? And what men tonight have had to resort to you? For here have been some 6 or 7 who did hide their faces even from darkness.
Kneel not, gentle Portia.
I should not need if you were gentle, Brutus. Within the bond of marriage, tell me, Brutus, is it accepted I should know no secrets that appertain to you? Am I yourself, but as it were in some sort of limitation, to keep with you at meals, comfort your bed, and talk to you sometimes? Dwell I but in the suburbs of your good pleasure? If it be no more, Portia is Brutus' harlot, not his wife.
You are my true and honorable wife, as dear to me as are the ruddy drops that visit my sad heart.
If this were true, then should I know this secret. I grant I'm a woman, but withal a woman that Lord Brutus took to wife. I grant I am a woman, but withal a woman well reputed, Cato's daughter. Think you I am no stronger than my sex, being so fathered and so husbanded? Tell me your counsels, I will not disclose them. I have made strong proof of my constancy, giving myself a voluntary wound here in the thigh. Can I bear that with patience and not my husband's secrets?
Ye gods, render me worthy of this noble wife. Hark, hark, one knocks. Portia, go in a while. And by thy bosom shall partake the secrets of my heart. All my engagements I will construe to thee. All the charactery of my sad brows. Leave me with haste. Okay. That's great. So Maggie is the only one that hasn't performed a scene yet, and she will remove the people that. So we'll have one more scene between Maggie and Alex. And they will be.
I didn't mind drawing the men again, if Alex doesn't mind playing a man.
Okay, so you want to do a two male scene?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So we'll do a 2 male scene between, and then we'll have to determine which male which person's going to be.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, this is I think
Anthony.
it was myself and Paul did this one where Antony is defeated and he's going to commit suicide, and he orders his slave to kill him. And rather than obey his order, the slave kills himself, and so Antony has to kill himself.
Oh, you're giving it all away.
Well, I'm sorry.
I'm kidding.
You're right. You're right. I said too much. I'm trying to give background so people know what's happening.
No, I'm playing.
Does anybody? But you're also right. I shouldn't have said so much. Do you have preference? Who wants to be Antony and who wants to be Eros?
Well, I would love to be Antony, but we might want to toss a coin.
Do we have to flip for it, or do you not care who's who, Alex? I think you're muted. Alex, you're muted.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't care which person I am.
So that means Maggie will be Antony and Alex will be.
I've got the version up where it doesn't tell the line numbers are the total lines in the play. So
it's
where the version I brought up doesn't have the line numbers. Is it just start from the top of the scene?
I don't think so. Let me make sure.
No.
Oh, it isn't?
I think there's other servants that are in there and they leave. It gets to the point when it's just the two of them.
I think does it start then with Eros says, "What would my lord?"
Let's see.
It appears so.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe re-enter Eros, and he says, "What would my lord?" And Mark Antony says, "Since Cleopatra died." Yeah, that looks like that's where the scene between the two of them starts.
Okay.
So you're both on the same page. You're ready to go.
I'm ready.
Okay, so again, it'll be Alex starts him off with when he enters as Eros. So go ahead.
What would my lord?
Since Cleopatra died, I have lived in such dishonor that the gods detest my baseness. I, that with my sword quartered the world, and o'er green Neptune's back with ships made cities, condemn myself to lack the courage of a woman, less noble mind than she, which by her death our Caesar tells, I am conqueror of myself. Thou art sworn, Eros, that when the exigent should come, which now is come indeed, when I should see behind me the inevitable prosecution of disgrace and horror, that on my command thou then wouldst kill me. Do't, the time is come. Thou strikest not me, 'tis Caesar thou defeatest. Put color in thy cheek.
The gods withhold me. Shall I do that which all the Persian darts, though enemy lost aim and could not?
Wouldst thou be windowed in great Rome and see thy master thus with pleached arms, bending down his corrigible neck, his face subdued to penetrative shame, whilst the wheeled seat of fortunate Caesar, drawn before him, branded his baseness that ensued?
I would not see it.
Come then, for with a wound I must be cured. Draw that thy honest sword, which thou hast worn most useful for thy country.
Oh, sir, pardon me.
When I did make thee free, sworest thou not then to do this when I bade thee? Do it at once, or thy precedent services are all but accidents unpurposed. Draw and come.
Turn from me then that noble countenance, wherein the worship of the whole world lies.
Lo thee!
My sword is drawn.
Then let it do at once the thing why thou hast drawn it.
My dear master, my captain and my emperor, let me say, before I strike this bloody stroke, farewell.
'Tis said, man, and farewell.
Farewell, great chief. Shall I strike now?
Now, Eros.
Why, there then. Thus I do escape the sorrow of Antony's death.
Thrice nobler than myself. Thou teachest me, O valiant Eros, what I should, and thou couldst not. My queen and Eros have by their brave instruction got upon me a nobleness in record. But I will be a bridegroom in my death, and run into it as to a lover's bed. Come then, and Eros, thy master dies thy scholar. To do thus, I learned of thee, how, not dead, the guard, oh, dispatch me. Ow. Ow, there's something cutting into my side.
Awesome. The bad Elizabeth looks like she had to leave us, so that's the bad news. The good news out of that is with her, that means that I can end the stream with all of us that are still here. Nobody's being excluded. So that we had a great round today. I hope people will return next week for the last one in January on the 30th. We're all in the stream, so if anybody, Sheila announced the Richard II. Is there anything else? I have a New Voices Playwrights meeting via Zoom, so I won't be joining that one. But if Sheila wanted to say anything about that, or anyone else wants to make any other announcements before we end the stream, Sheila, did you have anything more to say about that?
Oh, I'm just very excited. I get to play the Duchess, and my dear friend Ted will be John of Gaunt, so I enjoyed that reading very much. What a wonderful part. And I can't wait to be involved tomorrow.
I'll be there. I have something else to do until 3, so Mark, Vincent was nice enough to accommodate that, and I'll be coming in at the end to do some Exton.
Excellent.
Thank you, everybody, for being willing to do this. We can't do it alone. So,
okay. Did anybody else have any other announcements before we wrap this one up? Okay, great. Well, we had fun today. I hope to see you guys all back again next Saturday. So see you next week.
bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.